Hello everyone. In this video, let's talk about how we multiply rational numbers. On the screen, I have the rule for multiplying rational numbers, multiplying two fractions. It says if a over b and c over d are rational numbers, there would be some rules on those as well, like b and d cannot be 0. Then, when I multiply them, so a over b times c over d, my result is AC divided by BD. In other words, when I multiply two fractions together, their product, the result is going to be the numerators multiplied together and the denominators multiplied together. So let's do an example just to illustrate this. So let's take a look at the fractions. Let's do -2/3. And then let's multiply that by -9/4. Okay. So following our rule, when we multiply these two fractions together, we're going to multiply the two numerators together, and we're going to multiply the two denominators together. So I'm going to write this all out. I'm going to associate these negative signs with my numerators. So in the numerator, I'll have -2 times -9. And in the denominator, I'm going to have 3 times 4. Now from here, I can multiply these together. So -2 times -9 is 18. And then in the denominator, 3 times 4, we end up with 12. The last thing I would need to do with this is simplify the fraction as much as I can. So 18 over 12, those both have a common factor of 6. So if I wanted to rewrite this, I could say 18 is the same as 3 times 6. 12 is the same as 2 times 6, and we can see our common factor that will simplify. And we end up with a final answer of 3/2. So that definitely works. We end up with our answer. However, if I go back a couple steps, there is a second way that we can also handle this. So the first way, we multiply the numerators and we multiply the denominators, and then we simplified. But we can actually do a little bit of simplifying first. So written as multiplication, I can see that I already have some common factors that I can simplify. So I'm just going to rewrite this down here and work with it. So we had -2 times -9, and then we had 3 times 4. All right. So if I look at these, 2 and 4, I know that those share a common factor. So these share a common factor of 2. So if I simplify those, dividing a 2 out of both, we end up with we'll be left with a -1 up here, and we'll be left with a 2 in the denominator. Same thing with -9 and 3. Those also share a common factor. In this case, their common factor is 3. So if I divide a 3 out of both of them, I'll be left with a -3 in the numerator and a +1 in the denominator. So I was able to reduce a lot of those numbers, and this is going to make my multiplication much easier. -1 times -3, we end up with a +3, and then in the denominator, 1 times 2 is 2. So we do end up with the same answer. We end up with the same thing, we're just reversing the steps. So in the first method, we multiplied the numerators, we multiplied the denominators, and we saved simplifying for the end. In the second method, we simplified right away, and it made our multiplication a little bit easier.